that's a rush to judgment. You can't rush me to judgment when I'm notifying the court that I cannot find the record.
Yesterday, you said you did not have a file for one of the witnesses, and you did a fine job from my perspective. So
I did what?
You did a fine job. I just want to say my assessment.
They also
you did
provided
a good
me
job.
with one sheet for that particular witness at that time.
Okay.
So
I know. Why did the judge have to tell Darrell Brooks Jr. that he did a fine job? You're watching Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com. I don't want to make any more of these videos, guys, but you send me these clips, and I'm actually going to play a little bit more of the clip than what you guys sent me, because what you sent me was just the judge telling Darrell Brooks Jr. that he was doing a fine job. And if I just spoke on that, the supporters of the judge, and I'm a supporter of the judge, I gave her a 97%, would say that I was taking things out of context and, you know, kind of like creating this false narrative, which I'm not doing, by the way. So guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. Please ring the bell for notifications. That's the best way to subscribe. There's also a button down below. And guys, please leave a comment. Ladies, please leave a comment. Everybody leave a comment. So she was basically saying that he had done a fine job, but there was more to the statement, because Darrell was saying, look, I can't question witnesses unless I have the files where the questions are there, right? The thing is that she, the judge, believed that he, Darrell, was trying to delay the process because he had done a fine job the day prior with other witnesses. And the day prior, he had said that he couldn't find files, and then he found them. And so the reality of the matter is that it's not the court's job to press the pause button while Darrell looks for a document or a file within the 3 or 4 boxes that he had. It's also not prosecution's team, the job to list the witnesses in such an order that would expedite their appearance, facilitate their appearance, help the defense question them more efficaciously. Not their job. And so I think what the judge was just trying to say was, look, you've done this before. It's your responsibility. Now, that's something Darrell Brooks Jr. does not want to hear. He doesn't want to hear it's your responsibility. He doesn't want to hear you should take accountability. He doesn't want to hear about fault. He wants to blame other people. He wants to say it's a rush to judgment. He wants to say that it's an unfair process. He wants to say that the jury's being kept in the dark, because he cannot say, oh, instead of coming up with this sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo, instead of practicing making himself cry in his cell, instead of doing all of these things other than what he should have been doing, and what he should have been doing was preparing for the next day, then that's what he was going to do. And, we know that Judge Opper, I wish, from my lips to God's ears, I wish it had been Judge Opper, but Judge Dorow did a good job. She got a 97. Some of you give her a 50, others give her 100. I give her a 97. To me, I think she did a phenomenal job. But I think that one of the reasons that I give her a 97 and not 100 is the fact that when Darrell says things like it's a rush to judgment, she can't let it go. She can't play it down, because she knows he wasn't rushed to judgment. But when he says it, it pushes buttons in her, and so she has to react. And she did. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to point out that I appreciate the clip you sent, and you did not want me to say your name. Some of you do, some of you don't. Doesn't matter. I respect your wishes. But I'm not going to play a little tiny clip that would probably make the judge look bad, when in reality she wasn't complimenting him just to compliment. She wasn't like out of the blue said, Darrell, or Mr. Brooks, you're doing a fine job. And that's what it would have appeared if I just used a little clip that y'all sent. So I had to go back, I had to find the day, I had to find the time, and I had to get a little bit more of a clip to put that clip that y'all sent me in context. And when you put it in context, you see that the judge actually wasn't commending him on doing such a brilliant job or a fine job or whatever. She was just making the point, look, you have questioned witnesses before without the help of the court, without the help of prosecution team. And you, just the day before, in fact, had lost the file. You found the file and you were able to proceed. So on this day, the court's not going to be delayed because you can't find the file. Look for the file. And then, of course, you see Darrell lose his mind and say, well, why don't you come and look for the file? Again, because he was not able to take accountability, responsibility. He couldn't even look for a file in the boxes in his possession. You know, he got so frustrated with the fact he couldn't find them right then and there, because I think as a narcissist, he expects things to be done immediately, you know, like that, right? And his frustration is quite evident when he says to the judge, well, why don't you come and look in these boxes? You know, and also his, you know, sort of go-to, this is a rush to judgment. And then, of course, when the jury's coming in, obviously he can't stop talking. I mean, procedurally, that would be the right thing to do, right? He can't. He's got to play that victim card. He's got to say, look, now, what's funny is that, you know, for the whole time, he's thinking that the jury is going to empathize with him. They're going to feel bad for him. They're going to, maybe, even if they don't feel bad for him, they're going to suspect that there's foul play because there's things that they don't know, and he's going to tell them they should know. And very much like the issue with the shock collar, you know, which he did not have, or the shock devices or whatever, or the shock anklets or bracelets or whatever he had that he claimed that was there. Clearly wasn't a collar, because that we would have been able to see. But he was trying to say that the black curtain around the table covered it. He thought that, you know, by even raising doubt in the jury as to whether or not that was actually being employed on his person, that would somehow be you know, something that would create a stir in the jury pool. And maybe in his mind, if one juror was offended by that lack of knowledge, that maybe would have some bearing on the outcome. I don't know what his thought was, but I think if you were to poll the jurors, they would have voted for him to have had a shock device on, and they would have probably enjoyed pressing the button on it several times. I don't think that they really cared whether or not he had it on, and they certainly didn't have the moral outrage that he did. And I think that, but in his mind, though, I think that it was important for him, maybe also psychologically, to mess with the judge or prosecution team, maybe mess with the media, maybe mess with us, the viewers, in that there were things that were happening that we weren't privy to. And that, coupled with the rush to judgment and the whole, you know, whatever, victim card, maybe was all he had. Again, you know, that's one of the reasons too that I think a lot of people are fixated on this trial, is because you're dealing with an individual that from the very beginning had his back against the wall and knew that he was probably going to face 1,000 years in prison. But his maneuvers, his fast maneuvers, as he claimed the judge was employing on him, his whole, just the way that he looked at things, the way that he, you know, unpacked things, the way that he went about, you know, his defense, if you can call it that, is mind-boggling, to use a Darrellism.